I don't know if you guys do this, but for example, whenever I go to an event with Altergeist, my backpack is filled not only with the deck box for the deck that I'm taking, but also these like extra deck boxes just sort of sitting around of like potential tech cards that I might want to play. Obviously, you can't bring your entire collection to every single event, but these are all cards that like at one point, I man, so many Mystic Tomatoes, that at one point I thought about playing in like an Altergeist deck, and they just kind of like sit here in this deck box that I take along with me so that anytime I go to an event, if I want to make like minor changes the day of or the morning of, I can just go in this deck box and know that in general all the cards in the deck box are going to be sort of related to the deck that I'm playing. I also do this with decks that I have spare. Obviously, I just played Burning Abyss at YCS Pasadena, and I only have like one main deck box. I try to use the Ultimate Guard deck box that changes color. That one's pretty cool. And one of the things that I do though is I just put the Burning Abyss one in a different deck box, as well as all of the old Burning Abyss tech options that I want to keep handy as well. So all in my room, I have deck boxes of older decks that I played and tech options that I considered, and that kind of makes it so I can go back and look at just historically what decks I was interested in. I have in one box, there's like old cards from when I played Mermails and Phantom Knights when those first came out, and it's really cool looking at what those old cards are that I thought I would play in those decks. I mention all this because in today's video, I have sort of a different thing that I wanted to show you. If you guys remember, a couple months ago, I did a video about an old box I found of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and that video was mostly about casual cards that I collected when I first started playing the game that I've still kept onto all these years later. In today's video though, I have something a little different. So these three deck boxes are not mine. I mean, I own them now, but these all came from my friend Joe, who I've mentioned before in a couple videos. He was like the best player I knew when I first started Yu-Gi-Oh! He was who I looked up to, and when he quit Yu-Gi-Oh!, which was in like mid 2014 is when he finally held up the curtain, or what even is that phrase? I don't know, but 2014, about halfway through, right before the WCQ, is when he quit Yu-Gi-Oh!, which was very sad, but he gave me his collection, and it's very exciting because he had a lot of good cards. I remember I paid for the binders because that had a lot of high-end stuff back in the day, but as far as like the other things, like the deck boxes and like his common cards, he just kind of gave me, and that was really cool. But these deck boxes in particular are special because these are those boxes that I just talked about that I have. These are the deck boxes that he would bring to events, have different tech options in, have different deck ideas in. I think it's really cool to sort of look back at a person that played competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! For like the first 15 years of the game being around and kind of take a look at when he quit, what were the cards that he had in these deck boxes that he was taking to event to event to event just in case he needed them, and sort of how that compares to something that I would look at in 2018 where I have tons of modern cards in my tech option deck boxes. These are all tech options from like at least 5 years ago, but in many cases even before that. So anyway, without further ado, I thought it'd be kind of fun to just go through these and take a look. We're not going to go super fast, kind of like I did with the deck box or the box video that I found for my own cards, but I just thought it'd be kind of cool to take a look at what's going on here. I know there's like some cards. Okay, this one is the side deck box, so you can kind of take a look. So it's kind of like a pack opening video for all cards that you know are like at least somewhat good, at least at some point. So the first cards you got in here looks like all the barrier statues, except I think I might have taken at one point when I was playing Mermails the water one out of here, but all these barrier statues that prevent special summoning. Once again, these are cards that like he wasn't necessarily playing, but that he just wanted to have at the ready. The barrier statue stun deck wasn't really a thing at this point, but he certainly was considering if there's ever a metagame where he could have these barrier statues cards. We see on Dust Tornado, nice. Mold sleeves. Okay, what else we got here? We got Divine Wrath, but obviously before we have Solemn Strike. We got Battle Fader, Prideful Roar. It might seem like a crazy card, but this card actually saw a little bit of play. It's pretty good in Battle Pack format, but just in general, this card technically allows you to just beat any monster in battle, which is kind of an interesting thing if you have monsters that can't be destroyed by card effects. Obviously, keep in mind this is like, yeah, 20. He was probably playing the most around like 2012, 2013, a little bit less so in 2014, but instead of Divine Wrath. Divine Wrath, like I said, it was a really good card before Solemn Strike came out. I remember playing, I think I played that in my 2015 WCQ deck with Volcanics. We have, oh man, Fencing Firefarer. This is one of his favorite cards. He played this in Dragon Lures. He was like a huge fan of it. I think that, because it came out Judgment late, so I think that Dragon Lures were hit at this point. They were all limited. I know that he played Mythic Rulers right before he quit, but this is one of the cards that he was very excited about. He had played it a lot at different regionals, and then when the hands came out, he was like, oh, these are just like Fencing Firefarer, except they special summon themselves. That was really exciting. Morphine Jar number 2. Pretty good against established words, I guess. We got Puppet Plan. I bet we have the other hand trap cards that steal things as well. DD Warrior Lady, Penguin Soldier. That's a cool DT. I didn't know it was a DT Penguin Soldier, but yeah, go Penguin Soldier removal. Consecrated Light. Man, what was the pack opening that I did? I did a video where I mentioned this card was really good. This is actually like a pretty viable side deck card for a long time, good against dark monsters. So it doesn't surprise me that's in here. Magic Train. This is a card that people always ask me to do a why nobody plays on. This card actually saw competitive play for a very long time in a variety of formats. It's good against decks that only have a couple really powerful spell cards, so that you're always like negating them. It's not so good in formats like any modern format really, where there's so many spell cards in decks. Like you wouldn't play this in like Altergeist or Frogs just to like prevent your opponent from Twin Twistering, because a lot of times we'll just have another card to discard. Obviously it's terrible against decks like Sky Strikers, but just in general, like you wouldn't really play this card. The decks like Altergeist and Frogs or True Dracos that aren't playing a lot of spells, well, I don't know if I guess True Dracos do have a lot of spells, so I guess just Altergeist and Frogs and stuff, their spells that they do play aren't impactful enough to be worth like siding Magic Drain against anyway. Spirit Reaper, good card. Scrap Iron Scarecrow, never really saw the play. Volcanic Queen, you guys know what this is? This is literally a kaiju monster before kaiju monsters, except just like Lava Golem, it prevents your normal summon, which makes it a lot worse. It's crazy, like, looking at it, because Lava Golem saw play back in the day. It obviously sees play in Duel Links. Lava Golem's, like, kind of good enough to see play in formats where there aren't kaijus, but Volcanic Queen was never good enough to see play in a format without kaijus. But it is interesting because, like, Wind Dragon Rust Fear Mode, which takes 3 tributes, is worth playing. It is worth giving up your normal summon for, where Lava Golem isn't quite enough. So it looks like people are not willing to give up their normal summon for just 1 or 2 tributes, like Lava Golem or Volcanic Queen. They are willing to give it up against for 3 tributes, though, because that clears a whole bunch of monsters. Green Kappa. DD War Lady again. Legendary Jujitsu Master. This card, I think, was like my 6th card that I was going to put on the 5 Forgotten Yu-Gi-Oh! Tech cards. But then that video decided to be more about like 2014. But Legendary Jujitsu Master was a long time good side deck pick when you went first, just taking out monsters. It's not even that bad a card. It's pretty good. Got some of those more. Penguin Soldier, Soul Taker. I mentioned this card's really good against Light Pulsar Dragon, Smashing Ground, kind of where I got the inspiration for that video. Actually, you can kind of see here, Smashing Ground, Spiritualism. Good card in 2014 WCQ or World Championship game. Huge Revolution is over. Dark Bribe. I guess I went through this kind of recently because I remember getting the Dark Bribe out of here. It's kind of cool. Consecrate Light again. Level Limit Area B. Pole position. Classic card for infinite loops and basically nothing else. Got Macrocosmos, used to be a good... I was talking with a friend, it's kind of funny because people used to play like Macrocosmos as a 2-of in the side deck all the time, but then it's like when Macro and Defissure got limited, you don't really see people just playing 1 Defissure and 1 Macro anymore unless their deck revolves around Banishing, whereas you used to see like these cards in the side decks all the time. I don't know, Banishing just must not be as deadly anymore. We got another Steel card. Oh, all these like discarded Steel. Got Kaiku, Deck Devastation Virus, fantastic stuff. So that stuff was pretty much all side deck picks. So that'd be the kind of stuff that he would just want to keep in mind. Goes to like a tournament and like, oh, there's like a light deck that I didn't know about. Like maybe people are playing like I don't know what a good example is, but if they're playing like agents at the event, you'd play like, oh man, I'm gonna play like these dark statues in my deck to prevent agents from just like killing me with Hyperion. So that kind of stuff that you just want to have. Like if you looked in mine, I had like things like Shared Ride and D Barrier, things that are sort of like format dependent. And then let's take a look. Oh, we got some, I think this is like an entire Karakuri deck or all the commons. Got those guys. Oh man, you guys probably don't even remember. I mean, this deck was pretty hyped up. This was one of the first, well, not really the first, but one of the latest OTK strategies before Yu-Gi-Oh! Sort of moved away from that. And nowadays, you feel like every single deck out there, except like Sky Strikers, has like, well, even Sky Strikers with Widowmakers, they can do it. But a lot of decks nowadays just have the potential to OTK. But back in the day, you had to play like specific OTK-based strategies, and this was like Karakuri's, which was pretty funny. This guy's crazy. Cybersaurus, what a great card. Played pretty much same reason that Panzer Dragon is played nowadays, and like Cyber Dragons, if they still play that card, just as like a level 5 machine monster that they can summon. Little Karakuri support cards. Man, that was a fun deck. One of my earliest deck profiles was Karakuri's. I mean, using D-Synchro to get that kind of stuff. Cool. Scrap Bees. These are just, I think these are just from, yeah, Astropack. Astropack 4. Crazy stuff. Probably got that for going to locals. And then, okay, so this part right here, this is, I remember when I got this collection, because I was, like I said, I always looked up to Joe, and when I got this collection, I looked at these deck boxes. I didn't look at him when he was there. I just sort of grabbed him and left. I remember feeling like so I don't even know. It was so cool. So this next stuff, I remember this. Yeah, so this is all spirit stuff. And if you remember, this is the deck that I like got my first regional top with. And what was so cool was that like Joe, a player that I had looked up to for so long, what I realized when I got this collection is that when I topped my regional, he actually picked up these cards just in case the deck was like as good as I thought it was, which it probably wasn't as good as I thought it was. But I just felt like so, I don't know, it was like, I don't know if honor is the right word, but I just felt like it was so cool. I was like, man, this guy that like I've looked up to for so long now thinks that like the deck that I played might have like some enough merit to like put in one of these deck boxes. So that probably doesn't mean a lot to you guys, but that was like a really cool experience to see that someone that like I looked up to actually did play or potentially was getting stuff to play the deck that I got my first regional top with, which was cool. And just some random stuff right here. Dimensional Alchemist, great card. Man, I miss Dimensional Alchemist. That card's pretty good. Okay, and then we just got one more. I know this isn't like the most exciting video, but it's just kind of cool to look at these old cards. This is like when I was first getting into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! When all that stuff was good. W Nebula, one of the best support cards ever released. It's basically Spellbook of Judgment. It's just stuck in a much worse archetype. We got Tributo Torrential. Spanish Rental Tribute. Obelisk the Tormentor. See? He had a copy. I know why. It was for frogs. That was the one deck that Obelisk saw play in was frogs. 1 AP, Swabakoo, Red Eyes. Nice. Gillosaurus. Oh, man. Twin Gemini Elf. Dark Nips. Ape Fighter. Hey, Duel Links. Sylphid. Zero card now. This card was played a couple times in Final Countdown, actually. Just like all sorts of, hey, Grinder Golem. Nice. Gigantes, Mess Dragons, just like all sorts of cards that aren't necessarily like broken. This card's really, I mention this every single time. This card, if you draft that in Battle Pack 3, you're like set. This is like one of the best pieces of removal in all of Battle Pack 3. I think what's so cool about this kind of stuff, and I can see this even in my own deck boxes, maybe we'll go through those Mermail and Phantom Knight ones from 2016 sometime, but the thing that's cool about these is that like, it's not that these cards were necessarily like good. Like they were just cards that he thought had potential that he might play someday. Like Flame Tiger might not seem that good, but on the other hand, it is a card that can revive itself, and it's kind of cool just to see what kind of tech options. These aren't necessarily cards that were going into his decks. They were just things that he wanted to have. Final Countdowns. They were just things that he wanted to have set aside. By the way, Fostadig, Joe, you were right. Past Joe was, he called Dinosaurs getting support. This card used to be really trash until 2017, basically. These are just cards that like he thought might see play eventually, and some of them did. A lot of them did, actually. Which is pretty cool. Regeki Break, good old school card. Oh, man, this was such a... I know we have so many different ways to, like, destroy back row. This card right here, though, that was... I remember getting a Clipboard player for 7. All the scales and all the back row was just insane. Oh, my gosh. Smashing Grounds, good stuff. Reinforced Truth. Robin Goblin, Swing Memories, Swords. Our Magic Drain, some of the cards right here. So yeah, it's just kind of like a, for me, it's just like a walk through memory lane. I don't know if this was actually interesting to anyone, but this is a lot of stuff. A lot of these cards were things that a competitive player like Joe was thinking of, mostly around like, yeah, 2013, a little bit 2014, mostly 2012. But these were cards that he had for many years that he played Yu-Gi-Oh! Many of those cards were really old that he just sort of kept because they kept popping up format after format. So it's kind of interesting looking at them and realizing that many of those cards wouldn't be considered side deck tech, which kind of makes me think about the side deck tech that we're currently thinking of in 2018. Is that going to be playable in like 2023? Probably not, and it's kind of hard to think about that. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know it's probably not the craziest video, the most exciting video, but I thought it was kind of cool to sort of look at these old cards from a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Player. I'll see you guys later, though. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.